All right. So we're talking about content marketing today. Big buzzword. If you're doing social media, if you're doing any type of digital today, you're doing content marketing, whether you use the term or not. So let's just talk real quick about a few numbers to kind of understand what you guys are up to. For businesses you work on, your own business or clients, how many social networks do you think you're posting to at least once a month? So let's start at like 2, raise your hand if your business is posting to at least 2 social networks. 3, keep them up. 4, 5, a couple are going down. 6, 7. All right, so it's a lot, right? So there's a little bit of an overwhelming nature to that. We also have blogs and we have podcasts and we have all kinds of additional things attached to that. So we're going to talk about that today, talking about the overwhelming nature of that, what that leads to, what the negative aspects of it are. Got a little entertainment up there. I work for a company called Social Fresh. I founded it in 2009. Social Fresh is a conference. It's an educational company. Our goal is to educate and inspire and improve results for the people that we talk to. So that's kind of like our motto, our purpose, our goal. And what that kind of boils down to is mainly our conference. Our conference is our big deal. That's what we spend most of our money on. That's what most of our revenue comes from. That's where our time goes into. We have an online audience of 200,000 a month. Those are people that learn from us for free. We have about 500 people at max, that's the ceiling, that attend our conferences once or twice a year. We're doing our 17th conference this year in Tampa. It'll be our 5th conference, 17th conference total, 5th conference ever in Tampa. So Tampa has had more Social Fresh conferences than any other city. We really love Tampa. Longest running social marketing conference ever, one track, really high level content. We're talking about advanced stuff. We're talking about very actionable content, and the attendees are also very advanced as well. The average Social Fresh attendee has over 5 years experience in social media. So you're not only learning from the stage, you're learning from the people there. We also have a podcast and a newsletter, and that's my sales pitch. Okay, so content envy, this is the definition of content envy. The desire to create content marketing at the same quality and or quantity of another brand, an aspirational brand. A few of these would include HubSpot, Dunkin' Donuts, Oreo. These are a few. These are people that post way too much. They have big teams, a lot of money. Buffer blogs on 2 different blogs now. HubSpot posts, I think, 30 to 40 blog posts a day sometimes. Oreo did their campaign where they had a branded illustration, original every day for 100 days. These are things that are not sustainable. These are things that we want to do. I look at Jay Bear, who's a great friend of mine. He does a 3-minute video every day. I'd love to do that. I cannot do that. I don't have time to do that. But what we do is we hold ourselves to these standards. So that's the envy. And where this came from is when I was building out our Content Success Summit, we have this training we call Content That Converts. One of the questions that we were building out was, what are the barriers to successful content marketing? What are the barriers to creating content that really does perform for a business result? And I came up with 5, and we're going to go through those. And content envy was kind of the biggest, because when I talk to people about content, oftentimes I'm seeing them spend time on things that are not converting for them. So I'm asking them questions, why are you doing this when it's not working for you? Why are you spending time on Twitter when it's not a good channel for you? Twitter's great for Social Fresh because that's where all the marketers are, but it's not great for a lot of businesses. Same for Facebook, same for Snapchat. We're on a lot of different channels. We're posting content in a lot of different ways that may or may not be the right thing for us. And oftentimes, one of the biggest reasons is because we have this aspiration to perform like the big guys, or perform like a competitor, or perform like an Oreo or HubSpot. So that's one of the things we're going to overcome today. So envy is the big elephant in the room. We've got another one called scale. I'll break that down for you. Basically what it says is you can post up to 6 or more posts on Facebook a day and still get a very high return on your engagement, very high return on that content. 6 posts and more a day on Facebook is not something I would advise 90% of businesses to do. Now, if you look at Twitter, the same number is 50 plus. In fact, you get increased results after 50 posts on Twitter a day. How many of you are posting 50 times to Twitter a day? Right? But we're constantly getting inundated with these stats and these numbers and this research. And it's true, this stuff can work if you have a team of 10, 20, 30 people working on it, right? We don't have that, most of us. Even a company with 1,000 employees has a 5-person marketing team. And not to say that you can't get to those numbers in smarter ways, but these are just some of the things that kind of stop us from performing well when it comes to quality content marketing, content that converts. All right, so we also have platforms. These are 9 platforms. I'd probably take Google Plus off here, maybe Flickr, but we also have Snapchat and Meerkat and Periscope, and there's always a new one. There's 2 or 3 new platforms that are significant each year. So not only do you have to post quality content like all these aspirational brands, and not only do you have to post more and more of it all the time, you also have to put it in more and more places, and you have to tailor it to those places. Again, very demanding. Another smaller pressure, maybe not for your company, but you also have cross-departmental pressure to post more about a sales page, or post more about this product, or post more about the CEO, or whatever, right? You have pressures to post stuff that may or may not be smart for your strategy because they don't align with, when I gave you the original goal of Social Fresh, if something doesn't align with that, we don't post it, right? So you have all kinds of people that are trying to get you to post whatever they want to the channels that you own as a social media person, as a content person. So that's another negative pressure point. And then no strategy. It's actually a really big one. We're not going to talk about that today because we have a whole course about it. But obviously, if you don't have that little bit that I talked about at the beginning, if you don't have buckets that are well defined to understand what your content marketing looks like in 3 or 4 different categories, it's really going to become a widespread of unrelated pieces for you, and a widespread of things that may not connect well to each other. So that's important to have. And I'm not trying to gloss over that, but it's a lot more than we have time for. So content envy turns into content fatigue. This is a much less precise definition. The desire to stop creating content forever. Seriously, leave me alone. I hate blogging, Twitter, and never want to see another infographic. How many people can relate to that feeling, right? It's like, this blog post did not work, the one last week did not work, that tweet did not get favorited or retweeted. My boss keeps telling me to send updates about his daughter's Girl Scout troop, through the company account. It's all these weird things that come at you, and it gets frustrating. So content envy is one of the biggest drivers of this, but all these other pieces contribute to it. And what happens is we create mediocre content. We get frustrated, and we lose motivation, we lose funding, we lose the boss's interest in this part of the marketing department, all kinds of things. And if you don't have focus on this, if you don't have laser focus on some of these things, some of these examples of tactics I'm going to give you today, this is the result, this kind of frustration. You also just have crappy content. So this is really crappy content from Adele. Worst Facebook page ever, millions of followers. She's posted once in the last 2 years. This was from 2013. We're pleased to announce that Adele's album, 21, has reached yet another momentous milestone. I can't even get through it without getting bored. 10 million albums sold. This is a huge freaking milestone. Adele has one of the most amazing voices in the world. She could have recorded a short video on a crappy phone, and it would have been amazing. But instead, her team posts this. I don't even know what it is. There's like way too many commas. It's one sentence. Really bad content, right? So this is a funny example of really bad content. What we want from you is we want really creative stuff. We want stuff that's going to stand out. We want stuff that people will remember. I do a lot of talks on creativity. I help a lot of businesses brainstorm better and improve their internal creative structure and culture. And the reason I do that, and some people don't see that as connected to Social Fresh as much as I do, but marketing and creativity, or creativity and kind of product development are hugely interconnected. Creativity is the life force of your marketing, life force of your company. And if your content marketing is not creative, it's just going to be forgotten. It's never going to get engagement. A great example of this is something called, this little guy called Turbaroo. I don't have the video loaded. You can Google it later, but it's on the Southwest blog. Southwest had this frequent flyer. She would fly a couple times a year. She had a little dog that was born without its front legs. Very sad, aw, right? So they 3D printed these little wheels for him. And Southwest found out about it, and they produced this really high quality video about Turbaroo going to get his new legs from the 3D printing place, which was like 4 states away in Seattle, I think. And it was really cute. It was very low branded. I mean, obviously they put it on their blog, but they promote this in a lot of places. It's very high quality. It's very long form. It's very creative. It's very humanizing. This is an example of content that stands out. This is our goal, is to find nuggets like this. So this is kind of, we're going from really bad with Adele to really good with Southwest. So that's what we're trying to bridge here tonight. One of the secrets to be more creative is being willing to spend more time on a problem, more time on a marketing campaign, more time on your planning and your strategy than the next guy. This is, if you think you want to become more creative, your company more creative, Literally spending more time is one of the easiest ways to get ahead, and killing yourself on one idea is the way to get ahead and improve stuff. This is the 100 light bulbs that don't work, the 101st one works. It's the same strategy since the beginning of time. My example here is going to be a little funny video, if we can get the audio to work, from Jerry Seinfeld.
The Pop-Tart, by the way, was a moment in time. And when I was about 8, they invented the Pop-Tart, the back of my head blew right off. Right? Do you remember? Like, what? I was in the supermarket aisle with my mother, and I'm like, hold it, hold up, hold everything. What the hell is that? Fruit-filled frosted rectangles in a box, the same. The food is in the shape of the box. What is this? And you open the packet. How many were in the packet? 2. Why 2? 1's not enough. 3 is too many. That's why. It was perfect.
Okay, so that's like a classic Jerry Seinfeld joke. Amazing comedian. These are his actual notes from the Pop-Tart joke. And I actually got to see him perform this in person. It's like, it can be up to a 5-minute joke. He's been doing it for a decade. Really, I mean, it goes on and on. You can Google this one as well. It's worth watching. So the question I ask, if you've seen me speak before, don't answer if you know the answer to this, but how long do you think it took him to write that joke start to finish? Anything. No wrong answers. Hours. 2 days. 2 days.
5 years.
That's the longest answer I've ever had. By 10 times. The longest answer I ever had before today was 6 months. It took him 2 years. So you really just took the sales out of it right there. So I appreciate it. No, I'm just kidding. How many people spent 2 years on anything, any one project, right? That's a long time. I mean, I'm sure he was, he had checks to cash from Seinfeld. He was doing Brunch with Kramer. In between, he wasn't writing it every day, but he came back to it over and over. It's that coming back and spending more time on a problem. So the challenge is, though, to be able to spend more time on a problem, you have to find time. None of us have extra time. So a lot of the tips I'm going to give you today are tips that are going to save you time in your content marketing so you can focus more time on fewer pieces of great content. So that's the fighting back portion of that. I'm going to go through 7 tips. All of them are going to be in this theme of spending more time on fewer pieces of content. I'm going to give you a lot of brand examples, and we'll go ahead and jump right in. And we'll do some questions at the end. Number 1, Vanilla Ice content mindset. This is the intentional one-hit wonder. Who's not heard of Vanilla Ice? That's what I thought. Nobody? Okay, so Vanilla Ice had a one-hit wonder and has been building his career off that one single hit since then. I want you to think about your next piece of content like that. If it's the only piece of content you're ever going to create, what would it look like? You should be spending at least 60, 80 hours on it minimum, if not more. Even a blog post. I've spent 80 hours on a single blog post before. Right? You can do an ebook, you can do a podcast, it could be serial content, it could be a series of videos, a magazine. Long form is what we're talking about, right? So you want to, your next piece of content, plan something that's big. It's aligned with your strategy, it's aligned with your customer pain points, it's aligned with what's gonna bring you business results, but it's something that's gonna give you long life out of your content. For us, it's our conference. Our conference is our single big, we spend a lot more than 80 hours on it. We have 20 speakers on stage, plus we'll have more than that this year. We have another 20, 30 hours of interviews that we film. We have slide decks. We have tweets, oh my God, so many tweets. We have live stream video. We have tons of content. We have so much content, we never are able to use it all, ever. I mean, I wish I had a team of 20 people and we could repurpose it till the end of time. We try to highlight the best we can and repurpose as much as we can, and we're getting better at it. But we don't do it enough, and we're trying to improve upon that. So we post things to YouTube. We do webinars with speakers before and after the event to expand past that 500-person audience that's at the event to the 200,000 that come to our website every month. We actually do blog posts breaking down some of the best tips from those videos. So this is an example of having that one-hit wonder, but giving it life, giving it longer life. So once you do the first one, the second tip is to and this is a very common strategy for content marketing, having a home run per quarter. If you're a very small business and you just have one person or the owner of the business working on content marketing, you could even just do 1 home run a year. That's legitimate. Most businesses, 1 per quarter, from small to big. I'll give you an example of HP here in a second. from the biggest companies in the world to the smallest in the world, this strategy works really well. So you have these, the vanilla ice content each quarter that you really focus on. You really try to get as much value and life out of that content as possible. So the HP example, HP, our good friend and speaker of Social Fresh, Paula Berg, does marketing for them. And they do this magazine called HP Matter. It's a digital magazine. I think they're touring with the print edition as well. They do 4 editions per year. So this content only comes out new 4 times a year. They do a quarterly magazine. Now this is very different from your traditional digital blog. Most of us are used to publishing weekly or daily or even more than that. They come out with basically, a few dozen pieces of content 4 times a year, maybe a couple dozen pieces of content. Very high quality. They work with very high quality writers from, a lot of publications you've heard of. They don't edit a lot of it. They have kind of a theme for each quarter. This is a traditional B2B play where you actually have a lot of lead gen that they're getting out of this, and they're going after the biggest customers in the world. There's probably 100 companies that they're targeting, and there's probably 5 people in each of those companies that they're really targeting. So this is a very big awareness play for them and a very different play. And they're seeing early results. This is the 2nd, 3rd edition, I think. They're seeing really good early results. So this is an example of a big company doing this really well on a really high quality stage. One of the articles, just as an example, I think the most recent theme for the edition was energy. And this is the drone angle. I highly recommend you blog about drones if you can work it into your content schedule at all, just because I'm interested in it, and I think a lot of people are. It's very timely. I'm trying to save you time, right? So a lot of this comes down to the 80-20 rule. What we're trying to get you towards, and this is really hard to do, but if you can do it, you're going to succeed, is spending 80% of your time on that vanilla ice content, on the really big home run hits, and 20% of your content on everything else. That means Twitter and Facebook and email marketing, et cetera. Hard to do, but if you can do it, just working 10% there at a time is really helpful. So one of the first things to help you get there is automation. Automation is a very dirty word when it comes to social media and content marketing. Automation is not bad unless it's the only thing you're doing when it comes to your content and your social, right? And a lot of this is really easy stuff. Most of the automation today is just going to be publishing. It's just going to be taking this piece of content from this channel or platform owned or shared to this other channel. So taking a blog post to Twitter, taking a blog post to LinkedIn, taking a podcast to your blog. There's also a lot of great email automation happening, which can save you a ton of time. If you're spending a lot of time on email newsletters, you could spend a couple grand and automate a lot of what you're doing if it's just links that you're sharing. So I would look into those opportunities for automation and front load that time, because it's going to save you a lot on the long run. Example of this is a company, telecoms. They're kind of a European telecom org, professional org, and they did exactly what I described. They spent, I think, like 15, 20 hours a week on their newsletter, and it was literally just taking links that they crowdsourced on their website from the industry and putting them into a newsletter template, right? 15 to 20 hours a week they were spending on this. So they spent a couple thousand or 10,000 or 20,000, whatever they overpaid for it. You can do it for 2,000, I promise you. And they automated it, and now it takes them an hour each week. So think of the time that they freed up that they can spend on bigger pieces of content, on more impactful content marketing for their business with that. This is one of many steps, but still a really good one, because we lose a lot of time just literally moving content from A to B. Borrow, steal, and partner. So things I'm talking about here are taking ideas that are already strong. If you see a competitor, if you see somebody in another industry, if you see Oreo or HubSpot or Social Fresh or somebody in Tampa do something really good, think of how you can steal that idea. Plain and simple. Think of how you can borrow that content. Think of how you can partner with them. Obviously, we don't want you to steal everything your competitor does, but sometimes you can partner with a competitor. Sometimes you can partner with a vendor. Great quote here from Abraham Lincoln, basically saying, even he doesn't have an original idea. So if you don't trust me, trust Abe. Example here, my good buddy, Jason Miller, who works at LinkedIn, took this blog post from my other buddy, Rick Burns at HubSpot. This blog post got about 50, 60, 70 shares in social. It was very kind of original, short blog post, I think like 500 words or less, talking about 5 types of posts to feed your blog, and he just put them in kind of like food. It was an allegory, kind of a simile, putting them into food groups. Very simple, playful blog post he just turned out one afternoon. So Jason Miller took this and turned it into a huge infographic and really jazzed it up stole the idea, also kind of asked permission to steal it and borrowed it as well. And this post, the infographic, had around, I think, 3,000 social shares. So, 30 times as much or more. I don't know about my math there, but check it. But much, much more successful. And all he did is repurpose existing content. Instead of writing it himself, I mean, they spent some time, they outsourced all their infographics at LinkedIn Marketing Solutions to an agency to design. So outsourcing is another great way, obviously. But they stole the idea. We did it as well. Some e-cards, your e-cards. This is one of my favorites. We stole that and we did fresh e-cards. Completely ripped off the idea and just made it social media friendly. For those of you who don't know, hyphens break hashtags. So we did like 20 of these. They were some of the most engaging stuff we ever put out there. And we got the images from Shutterstock. We got the actual copy for them from our users, from our fans, for most of them. Some of them we wrote ourselves. And we had an agency partner do these for free, design them for free for getting exposure through our blog, a little trade action. So a lot of time saved. Another really easy one, this is super quick, just templates. Having something, if something worked on your blog really well, do it again with a different flavor, do it again with a different topic, different angle, and make it a template. Great example here from Geek Squad. They have these 2-minute miracle videos that they do. They saw that it worked really well the first time they did it. They were like, oh, let's do a bunch of these 2-minute miracle kind of tech solutions. They just did them over and over. HTC did went to CES with, I think, $15,000 to spend, and they did this thing where you could sit in a booth with a green screen and do your own reporting on CES. They would give you talking points in a video, they would produce it, and they would share it, and the contest associated with it, they were the most talked about brand in CES. They went to every other conference and did the same thing. And they had a template script. They repeated this over and over. Once they saw that it worked, they just repeated it over and over in different opportunities. So once you find something that works, make it a template and reuse it. Crowdsourcing, or as Disney likes to call it, fan sourcing, which you'll hear on our podcast next week. Walt Disney World's Instagram account is entirely crowdsourced. They take none of the pictures. They're all from fans. Same for Disneyland account, which I found to be super cool. Obviously, Disney is big, and they can go through, and they have people to attach to this, but I'm pretty sure it's only 1 or 2 people actually working on this for both. So it's very doable. Also, there's a few fashion brands I know that do this in a big way. There's a little bit of technology involved or just grunt work to try to get permission from all these fans. But you can set up forums and you can set up specific hashtags and give instructions through email and other platforms that really kind of accelerate it. So crowdsourcing, fan sourcing, we use our Facebook group and Twitter to crowdsource stuff all the time to great success. Saves you a lot of time. Repurpose and repost. So here's an example. Those fresh e-cards, a lot of the fresh e-cards came from this blog post series that we've done. We've done this 3 times, and we're already halfway through the next year's. Whenever we find something that works really well, we just do it over and over again until you get really tired of it, because it works. So we did this 4 years ago, and they're basically just signs that you work in social media, like you talk in hashtags, and you tell people they should tweet something in the middle of a conversation. Your parents have no idea what you do. Like these types of funny little things that social marketers really align with, and we're kind of making fun of the industry. These get shared like crazy. We crowdsource most of these. We repurpose the content into the fresh e-cards. We repost them in different formats. We'll make images of these for Twitter and Facebook, and we'll post them several times over and over, and they never get old. So we now have like 200 of these, and we post them all the time. Another way we repurpose stuff is our ads. So this image on the left is actually from our conference website, and it's a quote from Morgan Johnson at JetBlue saying our conference is really awesome, you should go. He said, best conference ever. I asked him if I could quote him, he said yes, so I did. And then we had to put a bunch of Facebook ads to sell tickets to the conference, right? So I didn't have a lot of time to create creative for Facebook ads, so I asked the company that's helping us out with it. I was like, hey, can you just go to our conference page and take a bunch of stuff from there and create ads out of it? So they just took that quote, made an ad out of it. It's one of the best performing ads for our campaign. They took a bunch of photos we already had on our Flickr page. They took a bunch of other information from the conference page. So that's just repurposing. It saved me hours and hours and hours. All right, so that's it. Those are the 7 things. I also promised you a bunch of tools, so let's jump through these. These are some of my favorite content marketing tools. This first one is something some people do, and it's not intuitive for others. So having an office camera, having a, just for Instagram, having like an iPod Touch that's purely for the company Instagram account, because you have to log in and log out. They're supposed to fix that soon. But little things that save people time. Having a little corner in the office is just for taking photos or product shots. Like that, those little things are time saving. They're also triggers to create content, and they're also permission for other people in the company to help create content. ScreenFlow, one of my favorite pieces of software. You can use it to grab video, record video on your computer, to do screencast of what you're doing on your computer. I also use it as an editor for video and audio. I used to record and edit all of our podcasts on it. It's like a $100 piece of software. It's the easiest video editing software I've ever seen. Really quick to learn. GoToWebinar, a little expensive. There's a lot of cheaper, but GoToWebinar is cool because I can just get on the phone with someone and I can just ask them questions and people will listen to it and I can record it and I get a ton of email leads from it. I mean, it is the easiest way. If you don't want to create a webinar where you actually have a bunch of slides like I have for you here tonight, you can literally just do a Q&A and browse the internet with a smart person, and it is very helpful for people. It is very good TV. It is very good engaging content. Shutterstock, Canva, Photo, and Pablo, the new one from Buffer. These are just tools that I recommend for images and image creation, image editing. Photo is mobile phone. Canva and Pablo are cheap or free for editing photos on the web. And Shutterstock is super expensive, but really amazing if you have it as a resource. Curation tools. We use Facebook groups. I cannot tell you enough about Facebook groups. We're trying to get Facebook to come to Tampa to talk about Facebook groups in September. Fingers crossed, that might happen. Twitter and Core and Google Forms we use a lot as well as curation tools. Core is something we go to and research what other people are talking about and steal those ideas. Twitter, Facebook groups, and Google Forms we use to survey our own community and get information from them, or from our speakers, et cetera. We do a whole blog post series of just interviewing our speakers with a Google form and taking their answers and turning them into multiple blog posts. Oracle, Compendium, and Compose, these are also expensive tools for content management. The cheaper version is lower down on the list, I think. CoSchedule is what we use. That's $10 a month. All of these are kind of for organizing content. Oracle has great tools where you can actually set your customer service team or sales team up, and every time they answer a customer question, they can copy the content team, and the content team will get that as like a problem-solving opportunity to create content from it. And they'll make a blog post out of it. That's all coming from Compendium that they bought a few years ago. Really great piece of software. So they've pulled together a lot of those kind of automation things that are really smart. Compose has a great platform as well. Buffer, Edgar, Deliverit, Twibble, these are all kind of auto-tweeting opportunities. Edgar is new. Deliverit's pretty old but very successful. Twibble is kind of buggy but still kind of cool. I would check it out. And Buffer, everybody knows. Really amazing software, really cheap. CoSchedule is kind of the buffer for your blog calendar to kind of organize your editorial calendar. I say it's the buffer because it's very simple. It's $10 a month or a little bit more if you need to do a robust amount of their features. Really great for scheduling tweets from a blog post and scheduling Facebook post and LinkedIn post. We like that a lot. EditFlow is a WordPress plugin. If you have multiple authors and you're kind of doing a lot of editing back and forth, saves you a lot of time. These are a lot of tools. Okay. Keyword research. You should always look into keyword research. YouTube is kind of an underused keyword research tool. Google Ads, obviously great. Just going and searching on Google, seeing what autocompletes is a great way. SpyFu is a piece of software you can use that kind of is a little higher level. Moz is also really good. Native ads for testing. HP, which you'll find out on in 2 weeks on our podcast, they will test 20 to 50 different headlines for a piece of content through native ads. So they'll use Outbrain. How many people have heard of Outbrain? Taboola, Discuss. Discuss is a blogging platform, but they have native ads. These are the ads at the bottom of the blog post, at the bottom of the USA Today post, bottom of TechCrunch, Mashable. All these sites use native ads now. A lot of them are crap. I don't know why they don't filter out the crap. I guess it's profitable. But you can still use them. We use them for Social Fresh to push blog posts. You can use them for great promotion of PR stories, for great promotion of blog posts, and you can test headlines amazingly well. You can test images amazingly well on there, very similar to how you can do it with Facebook ads. So really great tool. And then bonus, having an internal email, an internal hashtag, or some type of internal network where everybody can suggest content, everybody can copy your content team on stuff that they're already doing. Your customer service team is always answering your customers' problems. Your sales team is always telling people information about your company. Put that into, copy content at your company name, email address, and your marketing team can always have access to that. That's really useful. Oracle does that in a much higher tech way. This is kind of the low tech way, just having an email that you can copy. And that's it. We're done. Thank you very much.